Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about object oriented programming in Java. So, what is object oriented programming about? In simple words, it is about how we represent everyday objects in our applications. So, what is this object? An object is any entity that we can identify. An example of an object, it's a person, a car, a house, a dog, a cat. These are all examples of objects. So, how do you identify an object? A person can be identified by their name, a car can be identified by its registration number. So, this registration, this identification data are these identification data are assigned by the user and they are represented as variables in Java. These variables have to be of a specific data type. So in the case of a name, it's the data type is string. In the case of the registration number, the data type is int. So we're going to do a demonstration in the Eclipse IDE just to show you what we're talking about. Now we're in the Eclipse IDE. You're free to use any IDE of your own choice. So we're going to create a person class. And we call it person. So we now have a person class here. And from the introduction, we know that a person object will need an identification data. So we're going to add the name variable of type string. Now we have the name variable of type string. The person class is like a factory. So in a factory, if you are into manufacturing, you will need tools to create your products. So for this person class to create person objects, we need a tool. And that tool is called the person constructor. So every class that creates an object will need a constructor. So we're going to create a constructor now. So we're going to create a person constructor. Now the person constructor looks very familiar, doesn't it? Because in actual fact, it's a method that, that creates person objects. Now, it needs an input from the user because this person constructor is going to create a person object, and that person object needs an identification data. So it follows from logic that a person constructor would have in it um, a variable that represents identification. So we're going to add a name variable in it. String name. Now what happens when an object is being created is that the person constructor takes the user input and assign it to the variable of the class, in this case name variable, by calling the name variable of the class. So when calling the name variable, it uses a keyword called this. So this dot name equals to the input, which is name. So we now have a constructor in place. Now, just to bring to your attention, an object can have more than one identification data, but for the sake of simplicity, we're just using the name, only one variable in it, which is the name in this case. Now, we've created the constructor. Now, when you create an object, how do you retrieve the details, the information about that object? To do this, you need another method called the get method. In this case, it's a get name method because we want to get the name of the object when we create it. So this has to be added to the person class. So public string, because it's going to return a name, which is a string type. Get name. So it would return statement. So it will return a name. Okay. So there you have it. So we now have the person class. So now we're going to run the application and create the person object. So we go to the main method, and by convention, you call the person class and represent it with a name. In this case, we're going to use object. And then we call the person constructor using the new keyword. Now we're going to put a name in it because the name is one of the variables, or is the only variable rather. So we're going to use Donald Trump as the name. Now don't forget the semicolon. So we import the person class. Now we're going to run this objects and use the println method to get the name. First of all, we save it, run as. Now here we get Donald Trump as the name. For a more detailed information about object-oriented programming in Java, please go to the link that you can see on the screen. And also for the code for this tutorial, you can download it from Git, following the link on the screen. Thank you for listening to this discussion, and we'll appreciate if you can subscribe to our channel. Thank you.